those of y'all who are listening first time on the channel or coming back and watching the channel, I'm going to be doing an interview with Miss Leah James. She's a longtime dog breeder enthusiast for over 60 years. We're going to be talking about some bills that are trying to get passed in the state of Florida. Bill 1581, 1583, 1585, and also 1492, 1494, 1495. And with your best way to describe some of these bills, we can go right into it. Ms. James, what would you like to start off with?
Okay, the House bills, the 1500 bills, and the Senate bills, the 1400 bills, are mirror images. They are the same bill. One is for the House, one is for the Senate. Mm-hmm. Basically, what these bills do is say that nobody in the state of Florida should have a female dog of 6 months of age that is not spayed. And what this does is it says, if you have a female who is over 6 months of age, you are going to have to pay a fee for the privilege of having an unspayed female on your property. Naturally, if you have more than one, your fee is going to be doubled, and if you have 2, 3, or 4, for every dog, every female 6 months of age or older, you are going to have to pay a fee. The second bill on both sides of the House and Senate is a bill that says the Department of Agriculture will enforce this, and the appropriation is expected to be $5.5 million. That money is supposed to come from the fees that you and I would pay for the privilege of having a female intact, not spayed, over 6 months of age. And the third bill is how it's enforced. Basically, it gives the whistleblower the right to come on your property and say, oh, you've got a female over 6 months of age. If she's not spayed and you can't prove it, I'm going to turn you in. So it turns neighbor against neighbor. These bills are extremely prejudiced against anybody who is breeding for a purpose. If, for example, you happen to breed dogs that the police department would like to use, you're going to pay a fee because they're intact and they're over 6 months of age. The background on the bill that Linda Cheney originally filed in the House is a company called Big Dog Ranch Rescue. This is a group out of Hobe Sound, Florida, with a lot of money behind it. And the interesting thing is they claim to be a rescue, but they import dogs from places like China, send them to Canada for 6 months, and then bring them into this country and into Florida like they were a Canadian dog, because the Department of Agriculture, U.S., has said we will not accept dogs from China and other countries because of rabies and other diseases that they carry. The other thing Big Dog Ranch Rescue has done is buy dogs or take dogs from puppy mills in Missouri or Kansas or Iowa, bring them into the state of Florida, and they don't rescue these dogs, they sell them. This is what is called retail rescue. And she is the person behind Big Dog Ranch Rescue is the one that got Linda Cheney to file these bills. She is attempting to put the purebred dog breeders out of business. And I personally take offense to that because the dogs I breed, I have a purpose for each and every litter.
Right.
A well-balanced dog breeding program is done for a reason, not just to resell puppies. Frankly, I've given away more dogs in my lifetime than I ever sold.
Right. I'm just going on that website. It says here that there is believed to be over 50,000 dogs at the Texas-Mexican border, and it sounds like what they're trying to do is basically bring those all into Florida.
That's correct. For example, Canada and Mexico are not two countries that we ban dogs from coming into the United States. So she could go to Mexico, collect a whole bunch of dogs, supposedly rescue them, bring them into Florida, and then what does she do? She resells them. This is not helping our dog population in Florida. If we have a rescue problem in Florida, it ought to be with the dogs that are in Florida. Let's not bring dogs in from other countries, other states, other places, and then pawn them off as rescues.
Right.
And if you or I want to have a litter, when we are breeding for a purpose.
Absolutely.
I may be trying to have a litter because maybe my dogs have gotten older. I want to continue my dog show career. I want to breed dogs that will make healthy, well-bred, well-socialized pets.
Right.
But I'm not supposed to be allowed to do this. And by limiting me and telling me that every female on my property has to be spayed at 6 months, even the Florida Veterinary Medical Association will tell you this is not a good thing. Not all dogs should be spayed early. They have not developed, and they are needed to get older when you can judge what they are capable of doing. And if they are deemed not a breeding animal, then yes, spay or neuter. But not just every single dog willy-nilly gets spayed at 6 months of age.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you your opinion on an email I received from Tara Ross, which is Representative Linda Cheney's district aide. Do you mind if I read it to you?
No, absolutely. Please do.
Okay, so I had sent Representative Cheney an email asking her if she could withdraw those bills, those 3 bills, and this was what was sent back to me from Tara Ross. So it says, "Good afternoon, Peter. We attempted to formally withdraw the bill through the clerk's office, and we are not allowed to do so. The agenda item has to be taken up by a speaker designate and the speaker in order to be formally removed. This is not a priority for them, so the time restraint is up to the powers above us. With that said, we are not moving forward with the bill. It will die where it currently sits. If you have any future concerns, I would encourage you to reach out to your state representative because we are not working on this area of policy any longer. Thank you again for writing. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and week. Warmest regards, Tara Ross, District Aide of Representative Linda Cheney." In your opinion, what do you think that's about?
I think that she's giving you a line of garbage.
Okay.
First of all, I have never, in all the years, and I've lived in Tallahassee and I've appeared before the legislature since 1977 on many issues. I have never known the Speaker of the House or the Clerk of the House to refuse to put a withdrawal on the calendar for the session. If a legislator chooses to withdraw a bill, the Speaker of the House, the Clerk of the House Court, usually says, if you want to withdraw the bill, we will put it on the calendar. When they get into a session of the legislature and there are bills to be withdrawn, the Speaker generally says, House Bill XYZ is up for withdrawal. Hearing no objection, the bill is withdrawn. That's how quick it is done. They don't even bother to vote on whether or not the bill should be withdrawn or not. So, number one, she's giving a line to put you off. Number two, she says contact your own legislators. I love that. I love that. I think we all ought to contact our local legislator that represents my district and tell him, Representative Cheney says she can't withdraw her bill because the speaker won't let her. Would you please help her get this bill withdrawn? She's putting the onus on everybody else but herself. And I will tell you, I've done a little checking. As of Monday of this week, neither the clerk of the House nor the Speaker of the House has heard one word about withdrawing the bills. So I'd like to know how Representative Cheney's aide can tell us that they won't let her do it.
Right. Sounds like it's just kind of a little bit of hot air.
That Representative Cheney is lying. I am simply going to say there's something wrong with the facts.
Right. And with Senator Martin, with the bills 1492, 94, and 95,
96.
Have you heard anything?
It's 42, 94, and 96.
96, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Senator Martin had a meeting last week with Judy Feltrek, who is the president of the Florida Association of Kennel Clubs. And he told her in very clear terms that he was not asking the Senate to hear these bills. And as far as I know, checking the calendar of the Senate, none of these bills have been brought to a committee, which means he is not asking for them to be heard. He, I believe, from the conversation he had with our president of our Florida Association of Kennel Clubs, he did this as a favor to Representative Cheney, and his aide indicated that he absolutely is not going forward with it. Since Representative Cheney was the lead legislator, it is courtesy for the Senate companion bill presenter to wait for her to move. So by Senator Martin telling us he is not moving on his bill, he's telling us it's not coming up in committee or before the Senate. If Representative Cheney withdraws her bill, I can assure you that Senator Martin is going to withdraw his.
Right. For everyone that's listening who would like to reach out to their local representative and ask them to contact Senator Jonathan Martin and Representative Linda Cheney to withdraw these bills, if you would just do it in the most respectful and polite way. We need these things gone with, but we also don't need to be extremely rude about it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That is an extremely important point, Peter.
Right.
Some of the people who have contacted the legislators on both sides, the Senate side and the House side, have not always been polite. And we go back to the very old saying, you get more with sugar than you do with lemons. Please, remember that these are elected representatives. They represent you, and at some time it may be another issue that you need them. The last thing we need to do is get the reputation of being impolite, rude, crude, and socially unacceptable.
Right. I agree. One thing I wanted to tell everybody who's listening, with these bills, they have this, I guess what you call a whistleblowers program, and what that entails is basically you might have a neighbor that doesn't like you, or an example, I could be going to go meet my buddies and go hunt. I go to the gas station to fill up my truck, go inside to get a couple Gatorades or some drinks or whatever, and someone sees my dogs in my dog box, and they don't like that. They could literally write down my license plate, call whoever is going to be enforcing these laws if they did pass, and I could be getting a knock on the door, which
Absolutely.
is basically it's not very constitutional in my opinion.
Absolutely. And keep in mind that the Department of Agriculture can appoint anybody, any agency, or any individual to help enforce this. In the bills, if you read the way it is written, the Department of Agriculture can identify people to do their job. They don't have to hire brand new people. They can go to any rescue organization, any humane society, and say, I want you to help enforce this. And what you describe as a whistleblower is exactly right. If you and your neighbor happen to have a little disagreement and the neighbor knows you have a dog, the neighbor can report you as having a 6-month or older female, and you're going to get that knock on the door.
Yeah.
And by the way, keep in mind, these bills give the Department of Agriculture the funding they need to enforce it by the amount of money you are charged. So they are making money on every single female you might have that's intact over 6 months of age. That's how they're going to pay for it. So when they go to the legislature, they say, oh, we're not going to have a budget because we're going to get money from all these people that have 6-month-old females.
Right.